you in the black, the blonde hair? What's your name? Shakira?
Yeah.
Is it? Can you drape her back, please?
Can I what?
Drape her back.
Sure. Do I have consent? Yep. Do I have to go through full consent?
It's implied.
I'm gonna go into your undergarments. Are you okay with that? Yeah.
Can we drape down to the PSISs?
Yep. Is that good?
I could move my
Here, can you come and modify the face piece a little bit? What you guys just notice is crinkle in the back of her neck.
Yeah.
So it needs to look down a little bit. So we want to tilt the face piece forward. We want to tilt it down, tilt the face piece down a little bit.
And is
Just
that
double check
comfortable
it's
for you?
comfortable.
Good. And that's gone now.
My hand's gonna be a little cold. Landmark. So we're talking about thoracolumbar fascia release. We're all very familiar with the thoracolumbar fascia being in this lower thoracolumbar area, but it actually extends all the way up into the T-spine. We're going to start at the T1, T2, T3 area. Pretty generous with that. Okay, because some people, it can be really challenging if they have a lot of adaptation and we have to kind of go up and over the region. So if that's the case and you're finding a hard time just engaging the tissue, then you can start a little bit below. But we want to be up in this upper interscapular area. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about in that area? Biomechanics are essential with this work. First thing is you want to have a firm elbow. Okay? I'm not going to say locked, but I want it firm. If you're locked, you're going to just be too stiff. You do have to accommodate as you move through the tissue, but a firm elbow, which is then going to be at a wider base. Okay, especially if you set the table a little lower than usual. I'll show you with my fingertips. I'm going to show you with my knuckles first, then fingertips. Fingertips would be most superficial. Wide base. The power's coming from my back leg. Okay, stability and power is coming from my back leg. When you're saying hello, just by engaging the tissue. Okay, I'm going to do this a couple times because this is the biggest key I'm going to be doing in every class because this is the most confusing part. Not this part, but the one after this. The other hand has got to be doing something. Don't have your hand just on your side. It looks kind of awkward and weird. Okay, have this hand doing something. And what I suggest is you support at the shoulder. Sorry, my hands are cold. And this hand could also help by taking out slack in another direction. Okay, and just take out the slack of the tissue. So I'm wanting to create that barrier. I want to create tension in the tissue where my hand is so that we can engage that fascia.
Is this the landmark?
Yeah, we're landmark.
Okay.
So upper interscapular area, T1, T2, T3 area. On one side, okay? And I want to be right beside the spine. I don't want to be on top of the spine on the spine's processes. No one likes that. I don't want to be on top of the angle of the scapula. It's not going to feel good. Okay, so I'm just right in that little pocket there between. Other hand supporting, stabilizing. It's going to help me out by taking out slack. Okay, I'm going to sink down that level of resistance, that first level that you feel some resistance underneath your pressure. Okay? Okay. To load it, I'm going to roll my hand forward. I'm rolling my back knuckles off of it. Okay, the front knuckles are staying in contact. And then I'm going to take a line of tension towards the PSIS, which is our other landmark. We're starting in the upper interscapular area. We're aiming for that PSIS area. Okay?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you said hitting the first barrier, but it's such a less, like, there's not much muscle or fat tissues there. So your force is pretty light,
Yeah,
I guess.
I guess.
You're not really hitting on the bones or anything.
You don't want to be touching ribs. No. You'll feel ribs underneath, but this is where your palpation skill will be acquired, fine-tuned. Yeah,
So
just experience.
if
you're going down or to the PSIS, are you essentially just following the spine along the edge of your knuckle then? Is that kind of the right thought, or are you going a little bit?
Think of laminar groove.
way?
Yeah, you're gonna be
Okay,
following
yeah.
laminar groove
Yeah.
down.
Okay.
Okay. And you might hit, there might be a sublux rib that you might hit, come
Yeah.
up and over that. Okay, might be some tender points as we get down that lower rectospinary region, a lot of trigger points hang out.
Do we
Okay.
come out at all?
What's that?
Do we come out at all?
Will trigger points come out?
No.
Like, are you gonna go
stay in the
out? Like, are
laminar
you?
groove.
Oh, oh,
Or are you
right.
going straight down?
No, okay, yeah, okay, I get it. Think of just following the erector spinae down,
Yeah.
because you can
The
see that
PSIS.
line of tissue. Okay. With that, we'll be engaging and working with thoracolumbar fascia. It's going to be incorporated into, or also will include the myofascia as well, just to keep it simple, thoracolumbar fascia. Okay. So, yeah,
Can you do both sides at the same time?
you can.
Okay.
I'll show that after. Just for simplicity's sake, and it's our first pass through this and introducing this technique. Just want you a couple people to see this. Let's come up here.
Have a look, everybody.
Her right fingers to the left.
Come up to the top of the head, and I want you to look at the scapula. What do you know is the scapula? Okay, the key information here is how close to the spine is each one. Are they evenly spaced from the spine?
Upwardly rotated.
No.
The left one is narrow.
Narrow, yeah.
Yeah, it's more retracted. It's a very common posture. You'll see that a lot. On the left side. People complain on the right, but they're really hung up on the left. I've got my own theory with that, because we lean on our left side with everything we do on our right side. That's right, ordinarily. Okay, so again, we're engaging the tissue, choosing, when we use knuckles, we're using our flat portion of the knuckles, not the bony part of the knuckles, the flat portion, okay, of the pips. Sinking in, again, rolling forward, taking a line of tension inferiorly towards our next landmark, PSIS, taking that slack out. You see I can't move any further. Taking the slack out. There's the barrier. Okay, that's the body saying that's my room barrier. It's right there. And I'm gonna drop my hand to lock it in. Okay. So one more time, I'm just rolling up, taking the slack out, dropping back. Now we're loaded. I've met the barrier. Yes, we're sliding over the skin, but our intention is deeper because that's where our pressure is. Just gliding through. Pressure okay? Okay, and to see as I'm changing my posture as I get further down, narrowing my base. This is the pace. Okay, slow. Slow and controlled.
Now the pressure is fairly deep.
I just probably have more tissue there.
PSIS coming off. I'm wanting just to maintain, I just want to maintain that same depth through. Yes, you may increase your pressure. You may be able to, oh, I don't feel it bear anymore, so you're going to sink in further, but not necessarily. Yeah, they could be very hypertonic in the erector spinae. Remember that latissimus is very flat, so you'll be addressing that and you're going through thoracolumbar fascia, you know, that prominent piece of it there.
If people
as
are
well.
hyperlordotic, would you add a pillow to help with?
You could, if you were sore, I would.
Yeah.
Are you sore?
No, I'm okay.
But yeah, you could. It wouldn't take away from it. Okay, fingertips. Fingertips, you're using just the distal part of the finger pads. Okay, some people like to keep their fingers together. I like a little bit of space. And same thing, landmarking the area, engaging, sinking down, taking out the slack by loading the tissue. Okay, I'm just having, it's just a bit of a modification where I'm just taking it forward and then I'm dropping my angle. Taking that line of tension to the barrier and then dropping my angle. And glide.
Kind of like clipping in ski boots.
Kind of like what?
Clipping in ski boots.
Okay. Oh yeah, clicking in the ski boot to the ski.
Where do you both pee? Do we okay to show both ways, or can we pick which way is more comfortable for us?
We'll let you know how we want you to demonstrate.
Oh, okay.
But if it's like throughout, before the OP, if you're going, my fingers just can't handle this, then yeah, we make an exception.
Which one feels better, Robin?
A little bit different.
It's different. With the fingertips, you'd be more superficial. Okay?
Yeah, I definitely felt less pressure on that one.
Yeah.
The elbow's super deep.
And elbow is, it's not something, we don't use it like this, and I'm not teaching you how to use it on the back. We'll be using elbow and legs.
And it's usually this way.
Stay tuned.
So using the ulnar border through that space, is that something we are allowed to do?
No, because I'm not teaching you that. I want you to get this first, and then once you get out of turn 4, if you want to explore stuff, then yeah. But in class, I don't want that right now.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that we're all understanding, what we're doing. I'll say that you can use your elbow in this area, but I wouldn't introduce that at this stage. Notice the hyperemia?
Yeah.
Can you do Palmer? Is that what you're asking? Yeah, for sure. But this, because it's so much more surface area, is what I find. Now, some people would argue, well, Brad's much more thorough technique. Yeah, okay. If I was just on superficial fascia, this is what I would choose. Because that's really all I'm feeling, is that superficial fascia. But it's like, why would I do this when I can do crosshand instead? I find that leveraging, it's much more demanding on the body, just with the palm. Otherwise, it would just become really superficial. Work through it that way, but still.
As you go down, I thought we did like 90 seconds, like longer, but during kind of like fast. So what rate are we supposed to be at?
It all depends on the tissue you're working with. Depends on the body. Yeah, the 90-second thing is more if you're hitting a barrier and you're not moving.
Yeah.
Then you want to start thinking, okay, how long am I willing to wait here before maybe I have to adjust my pressure? Maybe I'm too deep and the body can't respond because I have too much pressure. The 90-second is more when we hit the barrier and waiting for a response. It's more, I guess, important doing cross-hand work. Okay, because again, you are waiting a longer period of time with that. So 90 seconds is like a base minimum amount of time on the wait. Base minimum, 90 seconds. Okay, so what I suggest is single-handed, okay, single side, and then other side, we'll do a line. Okay, it's engaging the tissue. And, okay, another point. Fist can be firm or soft. I would suggest soft fist initially, okay, to get an idea with that, because a firmer fist is just be more pressure. Some people's knuckles can't manage this now. It's just new to your body, it's not used to it. Okay? Don't get too discouraged if your hands get sore. But again, it's not about muscling through it. Initially, people are going to want to put a lot of pressure behind it. Okay? But you're just wanting to finesse your palpation.
So do you feel any fascia pulling yourself there? Like-
Yeah, my hand?
Yeah.
You will.
Okay.
Definitely at times I do. Yeah, if it's really dense, restricted tissue.
So have you felt any restriction? Because you haven't stopped.
That's
So I'm
right.
curious.
So we're just, your bodies respond to what we're doing and we're gliding through that layer.
Oh, okay.
You want to come check out the scapula? Okay, so that narrowness has reduced.
Yes.
So what we'll get into is that what we're communicating with the nervous system with these techniques. Same with massage. With fascial work, we're communicating with the nervous system through the mechanoreceptors that are stored in connective tissue. And so we're able to say, hey, we need to turn this muscle off or bring fluid into the area, hydrates it, and we can get these changes. Okay, action. Now you can do action with single hand, but I found, and I totally allow it, we'll practice that, but I suggest using bilateral technique when doing the action for the thoracolumbar region. And the action is going to be with the pelvis. And we're going to be, and it's going to seem a little weird at first, but it's the most effective way to do it. We're going to be rocking the pelvis, tilting it posterior and anterior. Okay? And so we want to engage that action about the mid-thoracic areas where we're going to have the most effect with that. For now, we're not going to do any action for the upper body. Okay? If you guys want to explore action with that, you can. But I'm not going to expect that you demonstrate any action during the exam. It's just going to be the lower area. Okay? We good? So engaging with both hands. I've got a loose fist. Engaging that tissue down to the barrier. I can go a little bit further deep on the right side. I'm going to roll forward. Take my back knuckles off, take a line of tension, take out that slack, and then drop back down. Okay? And now all the force, I'm meeting that barrier, is coming from my back leg. Okay? And gravity. So I've got more of tissue under my pressure, so it's going to be a little bit slower. And this is the pace.
How many passes of
Good question.
with the load would you do before getting them to perform an action?
Oh, before an action. I'd say at least one. Robin, can you tuck in your tailbone?
So anterior or posterior?
That's right. And then bring it up towards the ceiling. Good. Tuck it in. Good. Slow and controlled. Just continue that.
I'll send
The more slow and more controlled, the better. Because again, we're wanting to send this information to the brain, say, hey, it's way too tight down here. Or hey, we've got an imbalanced movement. What can you do about it? Because it's always getting feedback from the counter receptors. PSISs, and then coming. 3 to 5 passes is average what you want to do, but 3 to 5 passes.
that's with action, right?
All in total.
In total. So one with load and then two.
Yeah,
one to
the
two
first pass is like
actions.
you're assessing and treating at the same time. You're getting an idea of what the tissue is like.
So we start with 10 seconds.
Yes, but right now I wouldn't do any action. Maybe do action once. I want you to kind of get a feel of the procedure first before adding another component to it. Does that make sense? Okay, any questions on this?
Do you always recommend having the action in there? Like in your actual treatment, does that always be beneficial? Or?
It will always be beneficial, but it's not necessarily.